You are listening to Crime, Coffee, and Crafts, a podcast featuring two crafty besties who love true crime and a good cup of joe. I think we should have a laugh track.
You think so?
Yeah,
we laugh all. We
like every time one of us tells a joke, just like hit a button and people start laughing.
We'll have it pre-recorded.
I like this plan. How's it going?
It's going.
There's
I can see.
Kristen
I had surgery.
Kristen doesn't have glasses on.
It's weird. I still have to get used to it.
Yeah. You'll get used to it.
Yeah.
Except you still have to wear readers, so like whatever.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Maybe not. After 3 months, my vision should be completely aligned. But we'll see. I am 40, so they say after 40, you usually need readers.
They say a lot of
so
things.
Old. So old.
They say a lot of things. My mom like just got readers, and I will not say her age because she'll get mad at me if I do. Hi, Mom.
Well, she's only like 16 anyway.
That's true.
She's a leap year baby.
She's younger than me, so
yeah,
it's fine.
And she looks way better than both of us combined.
I mean, yeah.
She's a hot mama.
She's gonna be giggling when she listens to this. Oh man, my iPad locked itself. Hold please.
Oh no.
Where's my elevator music? Okay.
do 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 do.
All right.
And proceed.
I have coffee today. Like just barely. All right. So it's recording day, right?
Yep.
Ben woke up super early to go help his brother move.
Okay.
And I had a headache, so I was like, I'm just gonna stay right here. It's like I have time, right? Plenty of time to sleep in. It's no problem. The dogs are cuddly and like it's cozy.
It was probably very hard to get up.
Yeah, and my head was just like want. So I stayed there, and then I was like, it's really light out. I should probably check my phone and see what time it is. It was 8:20 something, and we start recording at 9. And I was like, oh my God, get off me, dogs. I gotta go.
Yeah, because I was texting, I was like,
well, my phone
really
has
weird.
automatic.
She's not, it's automatic do not disturb. But I still was like, this is weird. She usually messages me right back.
Yeah.
But it's all good because I needed extra time to prepare anyways.
Yeah. And so when I finally saw your message, I was like, oh, thank God. I was like brewing coffee.
Yeah. But it is kind of funny, like when we're ready to go, at the same time we're ready to go, and then the days where we're like kind of slowly getting there, struggling, it's the same days.
Yes.
So at least we're consistent with each other.
We're consistently delayed with each other. It's fine.
Oh God.
Oh, anyway, today
yes,
I am drinking another Pete's coffee because I love Pete's coffee.
Nice.
It is the Arabian Mocha Java, and it smells a little bit like heaven. I'm sniffing the bag for anybody who's just listening.
I'm in heaven.
A bag for everybody if you want to see.
Oh, I like that bag. I
really do. I like all their art.
Most of mine are green bags, which are nice. I like green, but that's a nice black and silver bag.
Yeah. This is a dark roast, so it's pretty flavorful, which I like.
Yeah.
Whoop, whoop. And then I just want to show off my new scarf. I already showed Kristen, but we'll show again. We went to the Yuletide Village at the Renaissance Fairgrounds last night. And we met Krampus.
Why is my internet unstable? I'm sorry.
It's okay. We got you.
Oh, I know why.
Is it still saying unstable?
I gotta block somebody.
Oh,
just in my own house.
Okay, that's funny. Are you blocking your kid?
I don't know. She's probably the one that was on that one, but I have to have it just as us record,
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
For anybody who's listening right now, which
I live in the middle of nowhere in the country. And
I live in the country, but Kristen lives in the country. Like, I have internet access where I live. She does not. So, like, it's weird and cool.
It's difficult.
You have a specific thing you have to have at your house to be able to get on the internet. So,
yeah.
Can't have a bunch of people on it at the same time.
Stupid jetpacks.
Yeah, but at least you have that. I mean, thank goodness for technology, because like, whoa.
Oh, wrong one.
Uh-oh. Technical difficulties. It's okay.
Hold, please.
Right. We're back.
Woo-hoo.
Sorry about that. Technical difficulties were real.
Yeah. It's a struggle.
It's okay, it's all figured out now, so it's fine.
Except for our robot voices sometimes.
Robot voices are cool.
we do like them.
I mean, I like robots, so it's fine. Okay, I have 2 crafts today. I have to put one on.
Ooh, nice.
And I already posted a picture on Instagram because I was so excited.
Yay!
So by the time this episode comes out, the Instagram photo will be old. I made a new pattern, but now I have to like make adjustments to the pattern.
Yeah.
For different sizes of hands, because I have a medium-sized hand and well, most other ladies do not. So
right.
That's
I have giant hands. I got man hands.
Your hands are the same size as mine. We wear medium, like men's work gloves. So Ben like tried to squeeze the end in there. He's like, it fits. It's just a little tight right here. Like, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
All right. Craft number 2, which I also already shared on Instagram.
It's
available on YouTube, but I'm so excited. It's my new little terrarium. It's got a little miniature tree and a little mini Bambi and some pine cones that I grabbed from our neighbors.
Nice. Trees. It looks awesome.
They drop them everywhere. There's a little present in there, but I didn't do it permanent. I didn't glue anything in.
Yeah.
So that I can change it if I want.
Right.
Because things should be changeable.
Yeah. So, I think we need to get like wholesale of those little terrariums, like different sizes.
I know,
we can do different
really
things. I love them. They're so cute. And it's just fun, like little creative things you can do different stuff with.
Yeah.
They're neat little decor.
If they weren't glass, I would feel better about like selling them, but I'm weird about that.
It's hard to package.
Yeah, then I would have to invest in bubble wrap, and I don't want to deal with all that. I already have a room full of yarn.
You do. It's one massive room of yarn.
It's a whole bedroom full of yarn.
Mm-hmm.
All right. All right, so we'll get to it. My story today.
Yes.
We are covering the Egans and their murders.
Ooh.
Very difficult story to cover. I was like, cool, there's a documentary. And then I couldn't find the documentary anywhere anymore. And I don't know why. Where did it go? What happened? I have questions.
That brings up lots of questions.
Yeah. So, and the reason I'm covering that is because it happened on New Year's Eve. And when this episode comes out, it's like 1 or 2 days before that. So
nice. Perfect planning.
Perfect timing.
Mm.
Trigger warnings. There is murder,
Murder.
beatings,
Mm.
and I'm going to describe how the bodies were found
Okay.
by the police, etc. Okay. So before we get into all that, we're going to go into a little bit about New Year's celebrations. Because
Oh.
that's fun.
Auld Lang Syne. Is that how you say that?
The what?
The song. The
Oh,
one
I
that
don't
they
know.
always play for New Year's Eve.
I have no idea.
Oh, it's like the
I don't go
world.
out for New Year's.
No, I know, but I always remember it from the movie Overboard, because when she's having her dream, she's dancing with the piano, and he comes out and they're playing that song. I'm pretty sure.
That's really funny.
Always be forgotten. Duh. Yeah. Anyways,
I mean, now we're gonna have to look it up. We'll do that after.
Okie dokie.
We'll have a dance party.
Yes. Always. There's always dance parties at my house.
It happens. Okay. Civilizations around the world have been celebrating the start of each new year for at least 4 millennia. That's a
long time.
Today, most New Year's festivities begin on December 31st, the last day of the Gregorian calendar, and continue into the early hours of January 1st. Common traditions include attending parties, eating special New Year's foods that are supposed to maybe bring you luck in the new year.
Okay.
Like people literally have to eat certain foods.
Yeah, I think like the Southern tradition is black-eyed peas and collards.
Maybe. My mom makes black-eyed peas every year.
Yeah, they say it brings luck for the new year.
Yeah, which I'm like, I don't know. That sounds like it'll bring a whole lot of gas.
Beans, the more you eat.
So, and as everybody I'm sure knows, people make resolutions for the new year and watch fireworks because that's fun too.
Yeah.
And for many, it marks new beginnings, newfound happiness, and a clean slate. That's not
starting
true for
fresh.
everyone. No, not true for everyone. So this story takes place in Watertown, New York. Watertown is located in the central part of Jefferson County. It lies 70 miles north of Syracuse, 31 miles south of the Ontario border. So sounds cold up there.
Yeah, northern New York.
Yeah. Upstate.
Oh,
yeah. As of the 2020 census, it had a population of 24,685. That's not that big. So, I mean, as far as like,
I mean, it's pretty rural up that area. So they probably spread out, not very dense population.
Right. The city claims to be the origin of the 5 and dime store and the safety pin.
Okay.
And it is the home of Little Trees air fresheners. Fun fact, it manufactured the first portable steam engine. It holds the red and black football franchise, the oldest surviving semi-professional team in the United States.
Nice.
All right. So we're in 1964 in Watertown. Long time ago.
60s. Peace, love, and
well, yeah. Lots of mafia shit.
Peace, love, and lots of mafia stuff.
I mean, yeah. So 1964 wasn't really a terrible year per se. Even if most people were still mourning the assassination of their beloved president, John F. Kennedy.
Yeah.
And even if the Vietnam-American conflict was escalating, 1964 was a decent year. Space travel advanced. The Beatles were everywhere. Hello, yes.
Yeah.
They even had 3 appearances on Ed Sullivan that year.
Oh, wow.
Cool. Martin Luther King Jr. was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. Ford released the very first Mustang, which
Mm.
like, I'm not a Ford person, but whatever. That's still a cool thing. Everybody loved that car, still does.
Yeah.
Khrushchev fell from power, which is good.
Mhm.
Among lots of other things, it was a crazy time in history. The Civil Rights Act became law in 1964. And so there were a lot of things to celebrate that New Year's Eve. But the Egans didn't make it that far.
Doesn't sound like it.
No. So this is a night everyone who lives in Watertown, New York remembers. On December 31st, 1964, in Watertown, New York, a couple from Rochester traveling north on a brand new Interstate 81. It was literally brand new. It wasn't even finished. So like you couldn't go very far, but
Gotcha.
far enough. They were going to visit family, but they pulled into a rest stop just north of Bradley Street in Watertown.
Mhm.
It was around 9 p.m. and a balmy 15 degrees outside, partly
Oh,
cloudy.
so hot.
Yeah, right. Partly cloudy and a bit breezy. Pretty effing cold and crappy.
Yeah, it sounds like
mean,
it. I mean, I'm
it was
definitely
like-
bundling up.
It was like 37 last night at the festival, and it was windy.
Yeah.
It was fucking cold. My fingers were numb.
Mm.
But
Yeah, we were
beside all
like
that-
75.
yeah, wild. It's just wild. A husband, Bill, needed to pee. But what this couple didn't realize is that they were about to find something absolutely terrifying. Bill stopped their car not far behind another car that was already parked at the rest stop. And he left the lights on and the car running, so his wife, Beverly, was still cozy inside. He got out, and as he was walking over to the grassy area to relieve himself, he noticed a woman lying on the ground near the other vehicle. So he went to check on the woman, just thinking maybe she was sick or something. But when he got closer, he realized she was actually lying in a pool of blood.
Mm.
So like, yikes. Her body was maybe a couple feet from the other car that was parked there. And so he started looking in the car, but the car's windows were totally fogged up and he couldn't see anything.
Mm.
So he went around and opened one of the car doors, and that's where he found 2 more dead bodies.
Dang.
Mm-hmm. There was a dog in the car also, but it was unharmed. Fear not.
Doggy survived.
Yep, dog survived. So Bill got back in his own car, told his wife what he had discovered, and drove to the nearest phone they could find, which was actually a lot more difficult than they thought it would be. This was a new highway. It was a
Yeah,
there
so
were
they
no
probably
pub-
hadn't.
yeah.
They
There were no
didn't put
public
in
phones
those. Yeah, no.
anywhere.
Or those emergency ones, like
I don't
the
even think they
box.
had those back then.
Probably didn't. Yeah, I don't think they have them
1964.
anymore.
Well, 911 wasn't even a thing back then.
Yeah,
So
right.
they eventually found a farmhouse that had a light on. Thank goodness. And back then, people didn't have cell phones, nor was 911 a thing yet. Thankfully, the woman who lived there answered the door and let them use their cell phone or their phone. I automatically said cell phone. How dumb is that? Use their phone. Home phone.
The ET phone home.
Do people even know what home phones are? They don't have, yeah. This is like actually a wired phone.
To the wall.
Most definitely a rotary.
Yeah, in 64, I'm pretty sure it was a wall
It
phone.
would have been a rotary.
Or on the table.
I love rotaries. Okay.
Yeah.
So he called the police and he told them that he had found 3 dead bodies and where he had found them.
Mm-hmm.
The police asked him and Beverly to meet them at police headquarters, and he agreed. And a little bit about that rest area, the local people, they got the name to change, and it's now the Egan. They call it the Egan rest area.
Oh.
Which is actually kind of funny considering who these people are, and you'll find out more in a little bit. So the first 2 straight State troopers on scene relayed their findings back to police headquarters. This was a major crime scene, which meant someone had to call in the lieutenant. And it's New Year's Eve. Lieutenant Thomas Nolte and his family were hosting a little New Year's Eve party for their neighbors who also happened to be in law enforcement. And another party was quickly broken up at a state trooper's house, Bill Bulio's home.
Bulio.
Baulio? I don't know. All troopers were to report for duty immediately. And so like basically like 90% of the people were gone from the parties. Wives and children were left there.
Yeah.
Which back then, I don't even think they had women working in the police force.
No.
Here.
I'm pretty sure it wasn't until like late 70s when actual females were allowed to be law enforcement.
So ridiculous. That was so ridiculous. So they got their roads closed really quickly, and all the troopers were searching for suspicious vehicles. So troopers found Barbara Egan, 24, wearing some green stretch pants, darker green faux suede coat with the collar turned up, and only one snow boot on. She had her hair in rollers, and the initial examination showed at least one bullet wound in her head. She was not wearing underwear, which was later actually found to be normal for Barbara.
She liked to go.
She went commando. So one trooper opened the car door to a tiny Pekingese dog barking its head off in an unfriendly manner, which I mean, I'd be pissed off too if somebody just fired a bunch of rounds next to my freaking head and killed my people.
Yeah.
So they had to find a way to distract the dog to do their job. Not sure how they did it, but they did it. So
hopefully unharmed.
Yeah, the dog was fine for now. Okay, side note on the dog. The dog was taken by a family member of Barbara's, but a week later, it like ran out in the street, got hit by a car.
Oh no.
I know, it's so sad, and her name was Queenie. Sweet little
poor
dog.
Queenie.
Poor Queenie. I think she had a rough life with these people anyway.
Oh, really?
It's really sad. Yeah, they're not good people.
Gotcha.
You'll find out more in a minute. Both Peter Egan, 27, and Gerald Egan, 19, they were brothers, were wearing dark colored winter jackets, trousers, and sports shirts, which I assume to mean polos, but I could totally be wrong. Could have just been like those. I think that's what they called like.
Did a lot of collar. Yeah.
Yeah, like those button up, like a plaid button up.
I feel like a polo wasn't really around until the flannel. 80s.
Yeah, I feel like the polos weren't really 70s probably. I think they were a 70s thing.
I just think,
but they didn't pop the collars.
The preppy, the preppy kids with their sweater tied around their.
Oh, geez, yeah. So Peter was the victim on the passenger side. Sorry, I'm trying to straighten my face. He was leaning over a padded wooden crutch set to his side, and he had a wooden leg strapped to what was left of his left thigh. Just setting the scene. He seemed to be in a pleading position with his arms like stretched out to the sides. Gerald, his little brother, was in the driver's seat. They had all been killed in what looked like a mafia hit. Confirmed by the coroner, they were each shot twice in the head. The men, they think, were shot from the back seat.
Oh.
So this theory was actually supported by the bullet holes in the windshield and a chip in the rear view mirror. Somebody wasn't a very good shot, I guess, or like it went through.
Bounced off, yeah.
So Barbara's body showed signs of a struggle. She had several cuts and bruises. Some of her hair curlers were found near her body, along with some change and some stamps. She had a possible blunt force injury behind her right ear that was so bad it caused her skull to separate from the bridge of her nose.
Ooh.
Yeah, and she had exposed brain tissue in that like laceration.
Uh-huh.
So that's pretty gnarly.
Yeah. That's
Um, yeah. Blech. There were
nar.
also there were the only way to get through it is to laugh through it. It's fine. There were also 3 fingernail marks on her right wrist, which led to the assumption that she had been grabbed by her killer. Investigator Raymond Pollitt, I don't know. It's fine. Said that Barbara was most likely tackled as she fled. Her killer then threw her down on the pavement. This is what they believe.
Right.
Probably holding her down with their foot on the back of her neck before shooting her.
Oh, okay.
Pretty gnarly.
Yeah.
And then she was dragged from the road to where she would later be found. And there were actually streaks of blood on the pavement supporting that theory. The coroner estimated the time of the shootings to be between 7:30 p.m. and 9 p.m.
Okay.
Robbery was definitely not the motive here. Barbara's purse was still in the car and it had cash and other valuables inside. The men still had their wallets, also with cash inside.
Mm-hmm.
Outside the car, there were more hair curlers and Barbara's other boot.
Why would she have hair curlers? Sorry. Weren't they out?
Well, they weren't out. They were going out later.
But, so she still had her curlers in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's pretty interesting. So there were 2 different calibers used in the killings, which leads us all to believe that there were 2 shooters.
2 shooters.
I mean, it's pretty rare that somebody's going to have 2 guns.
I mean,
they're
you
different,
could throw them
but they're
off,
not going to be different. Most people that carry 2 guns like that, they're going to have a matching set. Just saying.
Yeah, it's weird. Interesting.
A little odd.
Interesting.
Yeah. So did the killers drive out there with them or did they meet them out there? That was the question. But the investigators believed they met them out there, and there was no snow that night, so there was no way to know if another vehicle was out there or not because there were no tracks.
Oh, the tracks were covered.
There was just nothing there. There's no snow or anything, so they couldn't. Yeah. So Peter, Gerald, and Barbara were well known in the Watertown, New York area, but they weren't well known for anything good.
Oh.
Yeah. They were actually pretty bad people. Their community knew them to be thieves of the worst kind, liars, cheaters, and Peter was apparently also pimping out his own wife. But not to just anyone. He had to meet with the men first, and he collected payment before sending his beloved wife out with these men. She seemed to be okay with it, though. I think she actually enjoyed this life. For
to each their own.
Yep. Watertown had crazy amounts of burglaries prior to this day, and those record numbers dropped drastically after the Egans were killed. And we're talking like 400 and something burglaries a year.
Wow.
Dropped down to like 100. It's a pretty big difference.
Yeah.
So Barbara was a good girl her entire life up until she met Peter. She had amazing grades and a promising future ahead of her. She dated like a really nice guy all through school. And then she met Peter, the bad boy, and she did what every young girl does when she meets the bad boy. She fell in love. Who hasn't done it? I dare you to tell me you haven't, because I don't really know anybody who hasn't. All right, myself included. All right. Anyway, Barbara married Peter and seemingly loved their criminal lifestyle. For the most part.
It was probably thrilling. She had an adventure every day.
Yeah. Peter, I mean, yeah, among other things. Peter Egan was a really bad dude. He had been arrested several times and had a pretty violent streak. And even though he was on the shorter side and only had one leg, he never let that stop him from getting into some gnarly brawls. He loved to fight.
So little man syndrome.
A little bit.
Yeah.
What everybody said. Yeah. These fights were often over stupid shit, like someone looking at his wife or someone accidentally bumping into him. It was never over anything real, uh, which is really sad.
Yeah.
He was in jail so often, it wasn't unusual to see Barbara yelling to him through the jail windows. She would just like stand outside and yell to his window to talk to him.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So Peter had been in a car accident in Nevada back in 1957, and one of his legs ended up having gangrene. And so he had to have his leg amputated above the knee, which sucks. Like, that's really messed up. So naturally, he had a lot of pain, and he did become addicted to his pain pills. And sadly, Barbara was also now using those pain pills.
How she had to get through her life of forced prostitution. Well, not
it may not have been forced. She
was enjoying it.
She enjoyed other men.
Yeah.
And she would look at another man and he would get real pissed.
Yeah.
But like at the same time, he's selling her to them.
Right. It's so weird.
It's really interesting. They would even go to Camp Drum, which is now Fort Drum, and Barbara would service the trainees. Barbara would sometimes, she would sometimes get all dressed up and go to local bars. And once she would attract a man, Peter would show up and they would all leave together to do whatever they were going to do. Let your mind go wild. So the saddest part of all of this, I think, is that Barbara and Peter had 3 children.
Oh.
Yeah. And even though Barbara, as a younger woman, kept very good care of her family house, when she was with Peter, that all changed. And I think that kind of goes into like the pill addiction too.
Right.
They were not known to keep a tidy property, and their house was absolutely fucking disgusting from all accounts. And their children were known as the filthy kids around town.
No.
Which is like, no kid should have to deal with that.
No, it's not their fault. Poor kiddos.
No. And Barbara would often take her small children into local stores to help her shoplift. And it got to the point where store owners wouldn't let the children in their stores anymore. And according to some sources, Barbara talked about how she wasn't happy anymore and how she wanted to leave this life, but she felt trapped and couldn't get out. She basically like got wrapped up in all of it.
Right.
But can't always get away from that stuff.
Yeah.
So I couldn't really find much info on Gerald, Peter's little brother, but I do know that he was pretty much always involved in whatever his brother was doing. So
yeah. More like a patsy, or he just enjoyed it? Like, was he bullied into it because it was the youngest brother?
I think it's just how they were raised too.
Yeah.
And you know, maybe not, but I'm pretty sure their father, and I don't know if this was before or after they all got killed. I think their father, I think it might have been after, actually. It might have just broken his heart. He drank himself to death though. Even though the Egans were on public assistance, they were also spending a ton of cash, and I'm like huge wads of cash all the time. And it wasn't the smartest thing, obviously, to be spending that kind of cash publicly, like out in the open.
Yeah, it's not
flashing
smart.
your bills around. Yeah.
Yeah, keep a low profile, guys. When you're a criminal, you got to keep that low profile.
Yeah. Peter always had a roll of cash and would buy people drinks all the time. And
it wasn't his money, so why not?
Exactly. He would also loan money to people he knew, like he was some like loan shark guy, but then they never paid him back. And he never did anything about that. He didn't start fights with them because these were like people he knew. These were his people
weird.
In his little community.
Yeah.
Let's see. So they continued burglarizing homes to get more and more money. The Egans were investigated for their unexplained access to so much cash. And they were subsequently removed from the welfare rolls in 1963. So at least there's that.
Yeah.
The Egans were also being investigated by the FBI. for grand theft auto because there was a whole string of car thefts up and down the East Coast that linked to them. So, and there were actually FBI agents in Watertown at the time that they were killed.
Okay.
Looking for them. So apparently the Egan family had burglarized the wrong house. And I don't know if it was an accident. I think it was on purpose. This house belonged to the parents of a guy named Joe Leone. Joe Leone is a member of a burglary ring of his own. He knows the Egans personally. And he's feeling pretty shafted by them from stealing from his family. His dad's pissed. His mom is extremely like distraught over this. They took $750, which back then is a shit ton of money.
That was a lot of money back then, yeah.
And his mom's favorite heirloom diamond ring.
Oh.
Real bad move.
Yeah.
On this specific night, the three of them were supposed to be doing what they thought was an easy job. They were supposed to help James Pickett, one of their friends, hijack a liquor truck that was supposedly moving about $16,000 worth of liquor, which during that time period, that was a shit ton of money. I mean, that's still a lot of money, but like, that's a lot of money. The equivalent of $143,000 now.
Wow.
So
yeah, that's a substantial amount.
Yeah. And they were only getting $1,000 of that to help with the job, but still.
Okay.
But that's a pretty good payday. But it's a shitty way to get the money. So Gerald actually didn't want to go that night, but his big brother Peter talked him into going, told him you can get back to your date that you have after we're done. Because it's going to be an early job. You'll have plenty of time. According to everyone who knew Peter, he would have never let someone sit behind him in his own car and get a jump on him unless it was someone he trusted. Unfortunately for them, James Pickett was actually working for Joe Leone. And also Peter trusted James because they were friends.
Right.
So I think that's a little bit of a picture.
Yeah.
So allegedly, Joe Leone told James Pickett while at the Red Moon Diner that he was going to have to do away with the Egans on account that they knew enough to put them all away. And he knew the feds were onto the Egans. And Barbara's poor pup Queenie was the only witness to the murders. So like, it's just going in this circle. Like, what are the cops to do?
Yeah.
There's no real evidence here. So,
right.
But they did get people to start talking, which is how they found out about Joe saying what he said. So,
gotcha. Well, at least they had something to work on.
Yeah. I'm like, kind of, yeah. We don't know exactly what happened that night.
Yeah.
But we know Joe Leone and Willard Belcher met them out at the rest area to talk about the plan. And this would put Leone and Belcher in the backseat of the car. And they still thought that Joe was their friend also. So like they trusted all these guys. He had no clue. No clue.
That just goes to show you it's very hard to trust people.
And if you're in that industry,
you shouldn't trust anyone because
you don't trust anyone, and you don't let people sit behind you in the backseat of your car because mafia killings. Hello, have you seen Goodfellas? Come on.
It's good practice not
like
to have anyone behind you.
90% of the people who get taken out by mafia style killings, it's from the backseat of their freaking car.
Yeah.
Ugh. I can still see it in my head.
Or horror films.
The screwdriver to the back of the skull.
Oh yeah. Woof.
Oh my God. That was so gnarly. Okay.
Nar.
So we assume the Egan brothers were both shot at this point. By the two guys in the back seat. And that's when Barbara would have come back to the car and seen her husband and brother-in-law had been shot. So what we think is that Joe and what's his butt? I can't remember his name.
What's his butt?
Joe and Willard showed up in their car. And we think what they did is they told Barbara to take it for a drive while they waited.
Gotcha.
for the liquor truck that wasn't
Right.
actually coming to show
Right.
up. So she came back and saw that they had been shot, and Belcher and Leon were in the back seat. So we think that they tried to shoot her from the car a few times and they missed. So she obviously ran away, and one of them basically chased her down and killed her.
Mm.
It was in the first couple of days after the murders that the police were actively questioning members of the burglary ring, including Joe Leon. And it took the police 3 years to gather enough evidence to even arrest Joe Leon. And his trial began another 2 years later in January of 1970. And unfortunately, District Attorney Bill McCluskey didn't get very far, and he was about to fail massively with this case.
Mm.
A second gunman named Willard Belcher, which was the guy in the backseat of the car, had been
Right.
fingered, but he was never charged.
He was, excuse me?
Yeah. He was never charged after he was found to be criminally insane.
Oh.
And like he was known around town as like the Crazy Vulture. So I mean,
I gotcha.
I think Belcher, and I'm like, he's just walking around belching all the time. But
I think of Bob's Burgers, the Belcher
that's
family.
Wonder if that's where they got the name.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I mean,
Maybe.
who knows?
So Willard's wife, Bertha, was also arrested but let go. And apparently the Belchers had sold a coin that was originally stolen by the Egans a week prior to their murders. But the Egans had pawned the coin in question the same night they stole it. And they pawned it to Willard Belcher.
Gotcha.
So they didn't really have anything on him.
Yeah.
Except that he was pawning shit, probably illegally.
Stolen goods.
Yeah.
Common
Bertha-
practice with
Yeah.
pawning things, stolen.
Yeah. Bertha Belcher owned a maid
What a
service.
name. Bertha Belcher.
Bertha Belcher. She would work with her criminal friends, the Egans, to steal from her own clients while her clients were out of town. She would instruct them where to go inside the homes and what to take. Bertha was also and this is a quote, lady of the night.
Ooh.
Not just like a sex worker, like work in the streets. She would work from her home, and men would come to her home. And her husband knew about it. He was like, cool. Just be quiet.
That's so dangerous.
Yeah.
Don't
when
work
the
out of your
police- well,
house.
These were local guys. They knew everyone. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
So when the police planted a bug in her and her husband Willard's home, they got more than they bargained for. Unfortunately,
I can only
for them,
imagine that recording.
none of what they got was incriminating to Bertha or Willard. Just lots and lots of sexual encounters with her clients. And side note on Bertha, she was working in the sex trade into her 80s.
Wow.
Yeah. These dudes loved her. So
I would love to see
More
an
power to
image
her.
of this woman.
when she was arrested. Yeah. There's
Yeah.
a picture of her when she was arrested. During the period of time between the murders and Leon's arrest, several people in the community were scared that there was a murderer still on the loose in Watertown.
Mm.
But what they didn't know is that the police had identified Leon as the main suspect early on, and they were watching him and trying to gather evidence. Apparently, Leon took a lie detector test, though, but it was tossed out in court.
Yeah, they don't.
Well, but
They're
back
not
then, I think
evidence.
they actually used them back then.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Mm.
But there were also rumors that Leon's friends threatened jury members, which does not shock me in the slightest, because it was a fairly common thing for the time period with these types of peoples.
Right.
And Joe Leon had a great criminal defense attorney, F. Lee Bailey, who also represented Patty Hearst and assisted in OJ's defense. And
Oh.
fun fact, Bailey was disbarred in 2001 in Florida after being found guilty on 7 counts of attorney misconduct, and subsequently was also disbarred and not allowed to even take a test in other states because of
Oh,
his
good.
prior
Right.
history. So that's good. So ultimately, Joe Leone was found not guilty. Yeah, which really blows my mind considering Pickett, the other guy that was working for him, turned
Mhm.
state's evidence. He like told on everyone.
Oh, right.
So McCluskey was basically
Mitch.
left, but like one criminal's word against another, you can't do anything,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
There's, well, and he couldn't be trusted because he was criminal to top it off. So it's like, what are you going to do? So the police were certain that Joe Leone was guilty for the murders, but with zero evidence, they were left with nothing. So the case was closed, files sealed, and nothing more came of it.
Wow.
That was it.
They
And
just
Joe
washed their
Leone,
hands of it. Just
basically, yeah, Joe Leone moved to South Carolina, remarried again. He died, I think, from cancer.
lived out a normal life.
Lived a normal life. And this case will never have an official conviction, but some have said Leone did later admit to the killings, but he had already been acquitted. So
Double jeopardy.
yeah. And that's it. That's it for that story. That's all I could find.
Yeah.
I
find it interesting, just everything, how the story
I think it
played
was
out.
easier how, I think just the way science hadn't come around yet.
Right.
So,
yeah. Investigations were much more difficult to get evidence because you didn't
you
have
had to have,
DNA.
yeah. You
Mhm.
basically had to have somebody admit to killing people.
You had to have a
really get them.
confession. Yeah.
Yeah. So my references on this, I found a book that I could only get on Kindle
Okay.
called The Jefferson County Egan Murders,
Mhm.
Nightmare on New Year's Eve, 1964.
I was gonna say,
And
was it Nightmare on Elm Street?
I almost said that because I was like autopilot. Spectrum, localnews.com, history.com, YouTube, Wikipedia, and Google. There's news articles, but like the book had all the information.
Nice.
There, the one,
I moved
to the thing.
Episode of multiple technical difficulties. It's okay though.
Fine.
It's fine.
Yeah,
It'll
the
do.
YouTube thing was like an interview with the people who wrote the book. And it was not very well done at all.
Kind of.
But if you
crazy.
are interested, it has like some like reenactments. So, but the lady
They're probably
they used,
entertaining.
the lady that they used to play Bertha was not old enough.
Oh.
She should have been much older. She looked like she was in her 30s.
Yeah.
And she should have been in her like 60s at that point.
Oh.
So
yeah.
Anyway.
Nice.
That's all I got. So yeah.
I like it. It's interesting.
Word. Yeah. So I think that's it. All right. Ready? Ta-ta!
For now.
Thanks for listening to Crime, Coffee, and Crafts. If you love our podcast, please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. This helps us more than you know. If you really love us and want to support us, go to our website at www.crimecoffeeandcrafts.com. From there, you can join our Patreon, shop our merch, and find us on social media.